Okay, so Black Panther Wakanda Forever is right around the corner, and we have some brand new TV spots and trailers released as the marketing ramps up. Throughout this video, we're going to be going through it all to discuss the hidden details, things you missed, and also giving our theories on what's happening in the film. Now, the first of these is the teaser titled Time, and this heavily features Riri Williams.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Hustle paid the price. All my life, grinding all my life.
They came from the water. They had superhuman strength.
He's coming for the surface world.
That can't be good.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. One slice, roll the dice. All my life, been grinding all my life.
Now is our time to strike.
Show them who we are.
Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Rated PG-13. Only in theaters November 11th. Get tickets now.
Now, the trailer opens with Shuri going to see Riri in one of the Wakandan labs. At the end of the first Black Panther, we had T'Challa going to a neighborhood in America and also the UN. Originally, my guess was that during this time, several programs and initiatives for bright young minds were created, and Riri was brought in from the US to study Wakandan science. However, there is another clip that kind of debunks it, which we'll talk about later on in the video. Now, in the teaser, we see her spraying what looks like a red shoulder pad, and this is a similar colour to the hot rod style that Tony used on the Mark III. I think she's going to get different suits similar to how Tony did, and we'll likely see her Mark I, Mark II, and even her Mark Ruffalo. We also see a spear unsheathed, and this will tie back into the clip that we'll talk about later on. Now, we see her homemade suit, which we know from the trailers will be made out of car parts. We've never seen it assembled, however, here it's completed along with a heart-shaped reactor. These heart shapes are something that we see echoed throughout the film, and if you cast your mind back to the second trailer, then you may remember a scene in which Namor was painting. He had a palette made from a seashell, and this had a similar style heart shape in the middle of it. Also, we know from one of the clips that Namor will be pronounced Namor rather than Namor. I had to re-record the earlier part several times as I kept saying Namor because for decades, I pronounced it Namor, and then the internet came along and told me I was wrong. So I had to relearn it, but now Feige is telling me I was right, so my brain is completely f***ed from relearning it. I'll probably still pronounce it Namor a couple of times in the video, so just in case you want to know why this vid is more terrible than our usual ones, it's because my brain's completely f***ed. Now, in the comics, Riri made her own suit out of parts at MIT, which she seems to be doing here. The character comes from Chicago, and we also know we'll be visiting the location based on the license plate we see in the car scenes. We get a connection to this in the next shot on a bridge with a whale popping out beside it. The Talokanians attack, and later in the teaser, we see the car flipping over due to a wave hitting it on this bridge. Riri can also be seen with her boots boosting up with her to fly to a high altitude. This is similar to the shot in Infinity War, in which Tony shot up to catch up with Peter on Ebony Maw's ship. Later on, we see her taking what I think is her first flight as she skims along the water of the river that the bridge scene is probably at. Interestingly, right after this, we see her helmet shot, which is similar to how it's presented with Tony. Now, one thing you might notice in her DIY suit is that she has just a visor that covers her eyes rather than a full helmet. Therefore, I think we're going to see her in several suits and probably get more of a comic book accurate one. The visor wouldn't really provide this full heads-up display with a face inside of it, so my guess is that it's just some editing for the teaser. Other shots we see in the teaser have M'Baku attempting to break his club off the back of Namor. This instantly shatters upon him blocking it, and my man breaks it without even making eye contact with him. In the next shot, we see M'Baku speaking with Nakia. To the left of them, you can catch a woman looking over a holographic blueprint, which looks like it might be a ship. The teaser ends with Black Panther scaling down a giant vessel, which I think is one of the same of what this woman is looking at. I love the way that the Black Panther moves during this, and I believe that this is Shuri due to a number of reasons. We know that the helmet is laced with white dots on it, and these resemble the ones that she has at the end of Black Panther and also at the funeral. There are other helmets that appear in this teaser too, and we see someone reaching their hands out to do helmets side by side. Though it was thought that these two helmets might be teasers towards other Black Panthers in the film, I think they're more likely being used as a tribute to T'Challa. These are helmets that the character has already worn in the MCU, and since the new Black Panther is getting their own helmet, I don't think they'd be reusing the old ones. One of these helmets is also the one that Shuri carries at the funeral, so this shot may be her picking up to take it there. Now another reason I think it's Shuri happens in this trailer when we see Nakia in her own armor. This has a helmet that grows around her face, and therefore I don't think she's going to be taking up the mantle. Now the teaser is also filled with shots of Namor attacking Wakanda. We see him flying through the air and even get a close-up shot of his winged feet. The people of Wakanda are probably saying, "No more," and they might even ask him, "What is love? Baby, don't hurt me, no more." It's a great teaser, and I love the action shot at the end so bad.
Who we are.
Out of my dorm. Get out. Hey, I'm warning you, do not take another step toward me.
See how they teach the children to treat their guests.
Put this spear in here. Who brought a spear in here?
I like her.
Now going back to the spear shot we talked about earlier, we have a clip that shows Okoye and Shuri going to what I think is Riri's dorm room. Again, this kind of debunks the idea that she went to Wakanda as part of a program. I'm guessing that we have a bridge scene with her new suit, and they see firsthand the kind of tech she can create from a box of scraps. Now she could potentially discover a way to stop Namor's forces, and this might be why she's called to Wakanda. Now if you're enjoying the video, we'd love your 3,000 if you click the thumbs up button, and also don't forget to hit subscribe for our thoughts on the movie when it releases. Anyway, one of the best clips released on the movie has Namor meeting Ramonda.
Stop! Right there! Who are you? And how did you get in here?
This place is amazing. The air is pristine. And the water. My mother told stories about a place like this. A protected land with people that never have to leave, that never have to change who they were. What reason do you have to reveal your secret to the world?
I am not a woman who enjoys repeating herself. Who are you?
I have many names. My people call me Khan. But my enemies call me Namor.
Namor very much seems like he's awakened in the new world and has discovered how advanced Wakanda is. We have seen clips in the other trailers where he stood on a shore with a burning house in front of him as a child. There were several things surrounding the building that made it look Civil War era, so this is likely the first time that he's seen a world like this. This also shows Namor ages a lot slower than regular people, making it so that he can be an adult in the 1930s like how he was in the comics. Also, Ramonda is no longer wearing her headpiece, and I've always thought that this represents her crown. This being off makes her look far more vulnerable than how she typically appears, and we know that she's been through a lot in the MCU. She's lost her husband, her son, possibly her kingdom, and it's been a lot on the character. Now this clip premiered on Jimmy Kimmel along with a couple of other ones. This includes one of Okoye and Nakia.
When you left without saying a word, it hurt. I regret not being there with all of you. It was not easy. He was king and Black Panther to everyone, but to me, he was everything.
So the way that Nakia goes on here, it makes me think that she distanced herself from Wakanda after the events of Black Panther. She wasn't in Avengers Infinity War, and it's possible that she left during this time. There are some leaks that I won't go into here that I think could explain them, but it's possible that it ties into the post-credit scene, which we'll link our breakdown to at the end of the video. Full disclosure, I did have the post-credit scene spoiled for me, along with how they handled T'Challa's death, because I couldn't really help myself. However, I do want to go into this movie with some surprises, so beyond that, I don't know what happens in the film, which is why this video probably won't age that well. Now the kid talks about how she knew the man rather than the king and superhero, and it's very much a meta commentary on how the cast lost Chadwick and what it means to them. We knew the actor, but the cast and those involved with the film very much knew the actual man behind it all. I love this sort of fourth wall breaking scene, and I feel like the movie is going to be one of those rare instances where they can actually use the death of someone to help provide actual feelings of grief and loss throughout the story. I can't think of another franchise where an actor has died and they've used that passing to show the heartbreak that the cast actually went through. Paul Walker's death had some commentary on it in Fast and Furious, but due to Brian still being alive in the universe, it didn't impact the story as much as we're seeing here. Now the final clip I want to talk about comes in the wake of Namor's attack.
Cut your ears! It's not clean.
So here we basically see the midst of the tidal wave attack that's carried out by Namor. In the comics during Avengers vs X-Men, he ended up launching something similar against Wakanda, and he flooded the location before striking it with his foot soldiers. This will obviously be a twofold attack, and I think there might even be a third layer added to it. The first part is that people obviously struggle in water, so flooding a location would make it far more difficult for people to fight back. The second is that the Talocanians are now able to fight there, and they're not out their depth due to being on land. Not a pun, by the way. Well, it was a pun. I think the third part of this attack will come from the air, with Namor flying around the city and striking. I love how my man here is just continuing his business, completely oblivious to the whole thing, and the Dora Milaje put earbuds in order to protect their ears from the explosives they throw in the water. You see some of the Talocanians just chilling like it's some synchronized swimmy up before they're blasted in the air. Shuri arrives in a new type of ship, which we know Namor attacks from the other teasers. This has wings added to it now that almost operate like a dragonfly to put it in a hover mode. I'm surprised Shuri is actually in this, as the first film showed she can control vehicles from the lab. You might also notice that she has a co-pilot, and I'm guessing they had to be there in person to pull people out of the water. We see some Talocanians jumping out, and you may notice they have blue skin, whereas Namor doesn't. They also wear masks when on the surface, and Namor can breathe oxygen because in the comics he's a mutant.
Like a mutation.
Hoping they bring this into the film too, and we can slowly crawl towards the X-Men movie in 2030 or whatever. Now we also see the strength difference between them, as M'Baku manages to knock one out with his club, whereas the other trailers show it breaking off Namor's back. He's covered in vibranium, so he can completely outclass the rest, and it's a great little clip. Anyway, that ends the video, and obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on the new spots and teasers. We're running a competition right now and giving away 3 copies of Top Gun Maverick on the 15th of November, and all you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the TV spots. We pick the comments at random at the end of the month, and the winners of the last one are on screen right now, so if that's you, message me on Twitter at HeavySpoilers. If you want something else to watch, make sure you check out our breakdown of the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer, which will be linked on screen right now. Lots of things going on with it, and we'll love to see you over there, you son of a bitch. I know you're in. I'll see you there, mate. Go on, see you there. Bye.